Guys, it's Rick. Welcome to the HD Vibe channel. If you'd like to see more tips, tricks, rides, reviews, installs on my Harley Davidson touring motorcycles, as well as information about motorcycles and the motorcycle community at large, I ask you please hit that subscribe button. And when you do subscribe, please leave a comment down below saying I subscribe so I can personally reach out and thank you for supporting the channel. Also, don't forget to hit that bell icon and select all so that you get notified every time I do put out new content. So we're here in the HD Vibe garage today, and as you can see, I've got the 2021 Road Glide Special fairing off. And what we're going to do today is continue with the series on communication. A few weeks ago, I put out a video on how to install a WHIM module, which is to connect yourself sort of wirelessly to the bike in the infotainment center. And today, I'm going to show you how to install what Harley Davidson calls the rider-to-rider communication module, or in layman's terms, the CB module. Not very widely used, but still, for the group that I ride with, is very important. So I'm going to show you how to install that step by step. Save you some money by doing it yourself, but there still is one step that you have to do at the dealership. So, and we'll leave that to the very end. But we'll get into it right after this. So guys, today I'm going to show you how to step-by-step install this Boombox CD radio kit. So this is the module and what it looks like. And again, this is for your 2014 to current either Street Glide or Road Glide. And that can be your standard or your special. But it's really not too difficult. And I'm going to step you through each part of this installation here in this video and show you how you really can do this in your garage. You do have the new infotainment system, the Boombox GTS 6.5. You will actually need to go to the dealership and have the CB module actually turned on so the infotainment system recognizes it. So in addition to the CB module, I'll also show you how to install this new handset. Essentially what it does on the right side of the bike, it adds this push to talk button, which is right here. Stock, your Street Glide Special, Road Glide Special has a blank right here. So I'll show you how to do that as well. That's pretty simple. Again, it's just kind of plug and play, just getting this over the handlebars, taking the old one off and put this on. So let's first swing the camera around and we will then install this module up under the fairing on the Road Glide Special. Okay, so at this point I'm actually putting this bracket right here underneath that frame that's already on the bike, and then putting in these two screws that are labeled 3 here, and then there's some lock washers. So that's what I'm doing at this point. I lost a little bit of the audio here, so I just wanted to kind of explain this and put this in here at this point so you could kind of see that bracket and how I'm getting that in there. Okay, so I got the lock washers on there, and this with the T25 socket, I've got that tightened up. That's where the module itself will actually attach. It will actually slide up underneath here. Obviously there's a lot of wiring around here, so you just got to be a little bit careful, kind of get those out of your way so you can get everything slid up in there. But now I'm going to go ahead and put that module in, and there's one more bolt that will actually go through here, and I believe that's also a T25 to hold that module into this bracket itself. And this bracket actually has 2 little indents in it in the back. As you can see, these indents on here will actually slide into that. So everything is lined up. I'm going to tighten these back down. Again, these are lock washers on here, so they should catch pretty well. Yep, there they go. So now that's lined up. This is the last T25 bolt that will go through here to lastly tighten this module into the bike and get it connected into the fairing there. So let me go ahead and put that in there. So what we need to do next is actually obviously connect this. This is what connects into the Boom GTS system. This is the bracket that sits up on the housing that holds the headlights in. So you just basically just pop that off, and there's only one way that this black connector will go in, and I believe it's that way. and that's connected now. So now your CB module is connected. So that you need obviously is an antenna that will connect into this portion of the module right here. I like to go with an in-fairing antenna, and I've actually already sort of pushed this through. It is a J&M antenna, and I will show you. So it just screws on. Harley Davidson actually no longer, I actually checked with the dealership, they no longer make an in-fairing CB antenna. So the only antenna Harley makes for these is the external antennas. But the funny thing is, typically the CB antennas will go on the right side of the bike as you're sitting on it, but they don't actually make a bracket to mount the antenna through the actual holes that are in that rear fender back there. You actually have to get a relocation kit, which then mounts them down off the very back of the fender, which I don't like that look. So I go with this in-fairing antenna, and I'll move the camera over, but this essentially is the antenna, this little wire here. And then there's a little box that I've got in here that I will show you. This is connected into the CB module itself, and that's how the antenna gets into the module. This is how you pick up your signal, and I've just kind of routed it through inside the fairing up underneath the WHIM module over here, and that should give you pretty decent reception. I may not be as good as a whip antenna on the back of the bike, but it works pretty good. The only other thing is down here you'll see there's this ground connection. You do have to have this antenna grounded, so you have to ground it to the frame of the bike, and so you've got the 4 bolts that hold the fairing to the frame. So I'm just going to actually just stick this on one of these bolts, and on the Street Glide it was the same thing. It was up underneath the fairing. So let me do that. There's nothing really fancy there. Just take these bolts out and then run that through there, and then we'll get this wrapped up. So this is, as I said, this is the new piece that we need to replace the old stock piece with, and really it's just essentially to get this push to talk button back on here. And as you know, if you have a Street Glide Special, Road Glide Special, there's a blank there. Now if you have, and I think actually even on Ultras now, they don't have that as part of it. I think the only model now that you get that push to talk included is on a CVO model. So you just need to get this, and I'll have all these parts as well as the J&M in-fairing antenna down in the description, so you guys, if you want to do this yourself, you can. So we're going to loosen this one up and this one. Actually, we'll remove those, and then we'll take these 2 out, and these are actually a T27. So just make sure you get that in there at a good angle so you don't strip the heads out on that, and then just loosen that up. So I'm not going to bore you with this, but essentially kind of loosen these, you know, a little bit up here, a little bit down there, so they kind of come off evenly. And let me get this off, and then I'll show you what we need to do after that. These 2 loosened up. Now I'll loosen up where the brake lever is. As you can see, that starts to come apart. Get them on the top and the bottom. And just be careful so that you don't drop any of this, obviously, on your tank or your fenders. I've gotten that all apart. You can kind of see how this comes off. And the one thing you want to be careful is this is your hydraulic fluid for your brake. You don't want to get air in there. Okay, so as you can see, this is the back side of that housing, and you need to pop these out before you can take this off. Just take the screwdriver and kind of push in here. There's a little tab, and that, as you can see, will come out. And get the second one out. Just be gentle, because obviously these are some small little wires in here. You don't want to mess up these wires, because that could be an issue. This one's being a little stubborn. So I slipped that off. Let me see if I can get this to release. Okay, so I finally got that one out, and then this just unwraps around here, and it's just in this little housing. And as you know, probably all the wiring is in the handlebars, so it kind of runs up underneath there. So just for comparison again, so this is the stock one, has the blank, and this is the other module that has the push to talk. So this is the one we'll be putting on. So this is the stock one, and this is the one with the push to talk button on it. So as you can see, these connectors are identical. So they'll just plug back in, and I'll work that wiring back in here and slip that back over the handlebars. And then this will be ready for push to talk capability, which you need for the CB module. I've got that all reattached. Just make sure your hand grip again, everything's moving right. And then I'll begin to put these housings back on here now. So again, this is the front housing. It will actually just slide right over that housing, and that's what kind of holds your hand grip in place. And that slips right in there. Okay, so we'll put this back side of that on there, get it lined up, and we'll just loosely tighten that just to connect it. The bottom one. And when you're tightening this, you do want to do it kind of one side at a time. And again, make sure your hand grip is all the way slid over, otherwise your electronic throttle by wire is not going to operate properly. Okay, so we got that lined up. Again, this is all kind of loose so that I can move it around. Put the front of this on here. Then we'll put our 2 bolts back in. So guys, that's it. Pretty simple install. After you get the fairing off, I would say start to finish to put the module in, to put your antenna in the fairing. Change out this grip module here so you have the push to talk. Probably you're looking at a 30-minute to maybe an hour if you took your time. You know, not a very difficult install. And again, the last piece I need to do, if you have, I think it's 2019 and newer, you actually have to take it to the dealership to have the boom box actually recognize that CB module. Between 14 and 18, I think they automatically recognize them, but I think when they went to the new Boom GTS, Harley's less and less supporting it, so it's not sort of a turned on option from the factory, so you do need to get that flash from the dealership. So again, I hope you enjoyed this. If you would, consider hitting that subscribe button. I know this is probably not going to go to a mass audience because the CB is kind of going by the wayside of the dinosaur. More people are going to the mesh, but if you ride with a group like I do, we need the CB module because a lot of them haven't switched over to mesh. So with that, I want to leave you with this. Life is short, get out and ride the bike. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye now.